Good afternoon. This is the April 11th, 2018 meeting of the Athens City Shade Tree Commission. We had planned to have a review done by Elisa Eliasson today, the law director of the Sunshine Laws. However, she had a conflict, and so we're probably going to postpone that until the June meeting for now. So, with that, I'm going to ask Ron Lucas for his report, as we have no Title 33 or Title 37 issues to talk about.
Okay. Tomorrow in Portsmouth is the annual Tree City USA Awards program. I will be heading that way, and I think it's our 28th year, 28th consecutive year. So hopefully we keep it rolling this year with our Tree City USA. Athens Beautification Day is on Sunday, April 22nd. We have 3 tree planting projects going on from a city standpoint. One on Tulane Creek. We'll plant, hopefully 10 trees are going to get planted there along that creek. The soccer fields on East State Street, we're going to plant 3 large, 2-inch caliber trees, and we're going to plant a significant number of seedlings on various places along the soccer fields to start creating a buffer. I was able to get about 800 seedlings from the Conservancy District. So we'll get those planted. We're going to put those in other places as well. And then Attila is doing a project in West State Street Park for planting some trees as well that he's graciously donated to the city. If anybody wants to get involved, there's a registration process through the Athens Beautification Day website, and we can use all the hands we can get. I just got the dates for our America in Bloom tour for this year. It's July 26th through 28th. So if you recall from last year, America in Bloom, it was our first year. We scored well. Our goal was to score 5 blooms out of 5 blooms this year. And we have a committee of folks that are meeting and putting together the tour and the community profile. And we're making some headway, so we're hoping to have a good tour. You may, members of the Tree Commission, we may reach out to you to be involved with parts of that tour, whether it be from a tour standpoint or just a opportunity to have a meal with the judges to talk about our canopy. So more information to follow when we shore up the details of the tour. And the last thing I had, this is Arbor Day is a challenge to have elementary school students involved with the timing of it right now. We're up against air testing, and it's difficult to get them to commit to being involved for Arbor Day. We've had a lot of success having a fall Arbor Day because the schools aren't as busy. We could put together an Arbor Day event this year, but we probably won't have in April. We won't have elementary students. So I guess I'm just passing the question on to all of you. What would your preference be, or do you have one?
Well, the comment I'd make is I think Arbor Day is April 26th, isn't it? And that's so close to the beautification day that I think it does make sense to move it into fall for us, because the city's going to be doing a lot of things associated with trees in April, a few days before that day. So unless you were to combine the beautification day with the Arbor Day, then
it kind of takes each other's thunder away.
Yeah, I think it does. And I do like the opportunity to involve the school children, if we can, in that.
Yeah. And it's really more educational to have deciduous tree planted in the fall, since that's a better time for planting, and potted trees aren't necessarily the best option for planting. So.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll probably schedule it for a late September, early October time frame.
Okay. Good. Any questions for Ron? I have one. It looks like there's a plan to do something along the south side of East State Street because landscaping that was put in after the last widening project for East State Street has been taken out. And I'm just curious to know what the plans are. The particular landscaping I'm referring to was a barrier put between the parking lot at the tourist information house.
Visitor center?
Yeah, the visitor centre and East State Street. There was a buffer put in place deliberately to try and to just separate the traffic away from there, and that's gone. Do you know what the plans are for restoring any landscaping along there?
I don't know the extent of the plan at this point, but I know that there is a landscape plan. I haven't looked at it in detail, but there is a sidewalk going on that side. And
I assume that was what it was for, but yeah.
And that will go to the bypass. The sidewalk will go to the bypass. It's not going in front of Bob Evans, even though it's all marked out with oops locates. There's no sidewalk going that far down.
Is there any way that communication about tree removal could be funneled to us in some way?
I mean, well, I'm sure it could.
This gets into a process one. I mean, I spoke with Paula Mosley about the swimming pool and the fact we haven't actually seen the landscape plans for that one as well. And I think really it's a case of the Works Department coordinating things with Ron to get the electronic copies to us of some of these things. And that would be
there were 2 trees cut down in the middle of the street too.
Which street?
State Street.
Oh, okay.
Between the 33 overpass and the shopping area there, you know, that there were 2 trees that were on that island, and 2 trees or 3, and they were cut down.
3.
And so people who know we're on the tree commission will come and say, why were those trees taken down? And we say, well, I don't know. Yeah. So it would be nice to have, so that we could inform the public, because that's one of our roles, is to be able to answer people's questions. So. Yeah. That and the trees taken down as part of the swimming pool project. There were some smaller trees left, but the bald cypress were taken out. But we've never, have we heard, or did I miss that, why those were removed? So
those were removed due to a retaining wall issue that we needed to attend to.
So there was a retaining wall, but those smaller trees would not be affected by it?
Okay. Because they left the runts and took out the best trees. And it's going to take 20 years to get the trees back to the state that those 2 trees were in when they were taken down. And that's always the issue we've got with developments. We really like to see the older trees left.
If I may chime in, there was a lot of stormwater preparation that was done. Some catch basins that had to be added, so the roots were in the way and stuff like that.
But why leave trees that are runts?
I can't answer that. I mean, all I know is the big ones were in that area where there's a catch basin to be put in.
But you're spending money saving stuff that really isn't worth saving, right. and we lost the ones that were worth saving. Right. And so if anyone thinks that they can justify leaving those runts there to replace shade trees, no, they don't replace shade trees. Those things. They're ornamentals, mainly.
Could I interject an educational comment?
Yes, certainly.
Just perfect timing. The cool thing about trees is when they're big, they're kind of done doing their damage. And so sometimes it's easier and actually more proficient to work around the big guys, because if you cut the roots, it's not like that tree's going to have a lot of energy to flip them out where you don't want them again. Whereas the youngsters,
they're going to sprawl out.
Crazy, and that's oftentimes the ones that end up causing.
Yeah. And just for the folks out there, that was Ann Bonner. She's our urban forester, local expert, works out of the ODNR office on East State Street. She's a very good community resource. If you've got questions about your trees, Ann Bonner is the person to direct them to. Okay, any other questions? Well, thank you, Ron. we had a question just before the meeting started about, well, where are we with the emerald ash borer? And my answer to that is that the emerald ash borer has really made its presence felt in Athens and Athens County to the extent that the trees are basically dying that are going to die. We're now in the mode of removing trees as needed, and there's very little else that we can do at the moment apart from avoid planting any ash trees, which we've been doing as a city for many years. I don't know if you've got any comments, Ron, at all.
Just regarding removals for this year so far, 70% of them have been ash trees that are dead. Mm-hmm. And it was more than that last year. It was probably about 95% of our removals last year were ash trees.
So we've gone through the peak, you think, of removals?
I think so.
Good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's good. Then the plan worked.
You know, I was thinking that if there was resource available, we could maybe do some outreach or some educating that would encourage people to plant trees in light of this loss that we've had.
Oh.
I mean, the communities are looking really bare, and no one seems to be stepping in and planting anything. I mean, we haven't any money to do it, but I thought maybe people could, in private homes, could replace the trees that they lost. But nobody seems to be doing that, and I don't know whether there's some way that we could purchase some educational materials and get them to people so that they would have some sense of what it is that they've lost and what could be gained by replacing it. Is there any money?
There's money. We have tree bank money, and we allocate funds each year to do tree planting. But here's the challenge that we face with some of our neighborhoods that have lost canopy, particularly ash trees. So they are on streets or corridors that are high vis, but primarily student rental. And landlords they're by and large not going to want to plant trees. You know, it's not their thing. So if we look at North Lancaster, for example, that's a challenging street. And when you come into the city, the trees that we've had to remove from North Lancaster, it needs replaced. But there's very little right of way to plant. You know, so educating property owners to please plant trees, we can do that, but I don't know how much that they're going to go out of their way to do it.
Well,
as
let me know
landlords.
the benefits of it to their community and what they could gain from.
And I agree. But if we look at a predominantly owner-occupied area like Sunnyside, Sunnyside is the counter to Elmwood in terms of its look. So Elmwood, you go down Elmwood and you see all these beautiful trees, and then Sunnyside, you're just like, what? I feel like I'm in a completely different neighborhood, even though I'm only one street apart. So we did a large effort a few years ago to plant trees on Sunnyside. And I remember getting threatened by property owners to not plant trees on their property. Like, they're going to cut them down. You know, now, would they or would they not? I don't know. But that's an owner-occupied area that doesn't see the benefits of trees. You know, so there's two different distinct areas of the city that are lacking trees that would benefit greatly from planting them, but there's different obstacles that we're faced with there.
Well, so if we know of certain areas where they would really benefit by having trees, then it could be sort of a targeted area to distribute some materials for those of us who are willing to go and talk to owners to give them an idea of the benefits from trees, because, you know, otherwise they may just think, you know, they may fall, they may, you know, they'll shed their leaves, you know, without having the other side of the story about trees.
And I think planting, like, as part of a project where it's not just a tree, you know, that it's something bigger than just that tree in front of their house, and they can be part of something, sometimes that softens them a little bit. There's a lot of low-hanging fruit around town. I agree with what you're saying. There's a lot of difficult places where, I know, maybe we should find the easier places first, but maybe that's a summer project to go around and inventory planting sites. I think there's a lot of really good planting sites that we've kind of been overlooking.
Well, that reminds me on East State Street. Remember that some of the business owners there collaborated and they formed a committee and there were trees planted there. And Ron, wasn't that part of, remember when we had Arbor Day at one of the fraternities there? And it seems like that was part of that project, or you'd mentioned it at the time, I think.
Yeah, we planted a number of trees between Carpenter and I believe
Morris, I think,
yeah,
was the end of it. Yeah.
And so those business people obviously saw the value of having trees there. And
well, another thing to consider, I remember when Angela Cross did a tree planting on East State Street, and some of the trees got planted behind the sidewalk, which was off the right of way, but we worked it out with the city. And when you go drive down that street today, I still can tell the difference between the trees that are behind the sidewalk compared to the ones that are between the sidewalk. And the ones behind are so much prettier and have done just, as great a job shading the street and, adding curb appeal. So, like Sunnyside and also Lancaster, I would think planting them back a little ways, maybe get some of those property owners more interested.
They might be. The challenge, we do have a tree lawn on Sunnyside, but there's utilities in it, and they're shallow.
Yeah, I think when I was involved in that project, our best success was in fact putting them in people's front yards, because there just isn't the space. Sunnyside's a really awkward street.
It is.
Is there a cable running down, a high voltage cable on one side of that street as well? Yeah, so it's an awkward street to have to deal with.
But I think many people don't understand that it increases their property value.
That's correct.
There was that study done where there were two areas in, I forget what city it was, and 25 years later, the street that had been planted with small trees had a lower property value, less community involvement, and the one that had shade trees had higher property values, and the neighbors knew each other. There were get-togethers.
People see it as a sign of stability,
What's that?
really.
What?
People see it as a sign of stability,
It is, but also, as Ann pointed out at Master Gardeners, people get out and they talk to each other. It's shaded. It's more comfortable. So, anyway.
The other challenge we have with planting, I've had so many people call me and want to plant trees in their yards, like especially that far east side neighborhood, I think, is that what you call it? But the deer. And so one of the things that I think we all have to get on message about is the fencing. Using that 2x4-inch wire fencing and fencing those trees off. And, so it's not enough to just plant the tree.
Having lived in the country, I've done lots of fencing trees.
That reminds me, but the soccer fields, you're probably going to have to put plastic tubes around some of those small trees just to keep the deer and other things
those
away
things
from
work, the plastic things, those are great.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
We have ideas.
The summertime's a great time to go out and inventory, and that's when you guys should be developing your fall planting plan. And that would probably, not to speak for you, Ron, but that would probably help you.
Sure
if
would.
you didn't have to go out and do all that legwork. And pick I would be happy to go out with you guys, but pick the easy sites first, and this is where people want trees. And I bet you could drain down that tree bank. A couple years.
Well, if you could keep a list of people who call you, that would be a good starting point for us.
Yeah, and Ron actually does have a list that Alvy McWilliams and I gave him a number of years ago, particularly on the Far East side, of streets that are ideal for planting. We never approached the property owners. What we tried to do is just identify the areas for that were ones that you would make a big impact if you put a few trees in there.
That to start then, so that the next step would be visiting those landowners.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be, and who could say no to Emily?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, one last thing. I had noticed that the Arbor Day people had a little library of pamphlets and stuff, and they've got one that says 10 benefits of trees, and I don't think it's very expensive. Would that be something that you think there might be money for?
So those educational flyers that Arbor Day puts out?
Yeah. I'll
Yeah,
get a copy.
I've looked at purchasing
Bring it
those
in and
before
see what you
and
think.
creating a library in City Hall or the community center. I can't remember what they cost, but you can get like 12 for $25 or something like that. Yeah, there's a cost. I mean, if you think about.
Yeah.
Well, I'll get
Like,
one and see,
but
and bring it in, and maybe you can take a look at
but
it.
they have all kinds of different things. They have structural pruning.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
how to plant a tree. There's quite a bit of resources.
Yeah. But I think getting one that sort of points out the benefits to homeowners of the trees might be a useful thing. Yeah. Anything else? Is there any other business we need to consider? Certainly. You have to come up to the podium and introduce yourself, Attila.
Oh, okay. Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Attila Horvath. I know several of you know me already. I just wanted to let you know that I and a few other volunteers are getting some things underway. We've been working with Ron to get some stuff going at the West 8th Street Cemetery. We got some trees planted in the fall. And we're going to do more on Beautification Day. Also, we're trying to get some trees replaced as far as the ashes that died. Loosely, we're calling it the Ash Replacement Program. I just want to let you know what we're up to and to just put out there that we're ready and willing to work with you on anything that you'd like to. We have some boots that are willing to put shovels underground. So we do have some manpower that we're willing to put forth into planting efforts and maintenance efforts. So I just want to let you know that I could be your contact as far as that goes, so we can coordinate any efforts. We don't have to duplicate efforts, and we can help one another. Our main goal is to get trees in the ground ASAP.
Yeah.
So,
And what I would encourage you to do is coordinate this with Ron, because
I already am.
And that's
Yeah.
the simple way to keep us in touch with what's going on, because the way the process works for people out there who are interested in planting trees to replace them, particularly when it comes to putting a tree in the right of way, is that you need the city's permission to do the planting in the right of way.
Yeah.
And Ron Lucas is the point of contact for all of that.
Yeah.
And he may consult with us about the suitability of trees and the rest of it, but really it's up to the Service Safety Director and her representative, which is Ron Lucas, to work with people like that. And so, yes, we encourage you to recruit volunteers. Do you need more volunteers?
Well, we have some lined up for the work day on the 22nd. But just broadly speaking, for example, if you guys tapped into the tree bank fund, for example, and got some trees, but you needed help getting them in the ground, then you can contact.
Okay, good. Well,
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else? If not, we have minutes of the last meeting to review. Are there any questions about the minutes? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Thank you, John. A second.
Second.
Thank you, Nancy. Any objection to approving the minutes of the last meeting? Hearing none, we have minutes of our last meeting.
I wanted to mention that
Yes?
Ann followed up on the tree situation and the tree trimming situation in the near east side, or far east side.
Steve loves me. Poor Steve, he loves me.
Yeah, and following up on the use of the bush hog, I forgot to mention that when you were doing your report, Ron. But I noticed that a bush hog had been used along the bike path to take back the brush along there. Were you aware of that being done?
My instructions were specific to be flat on the ground using it as a mower. It was not to be lifted to trim trees.
Okay, I'll show you some photographs.
Okay. So yes, I was aware, and I gave specific instructions about
Okay, right. Okay, so the next meeting will be May 10th. 4
I think
p.m.
are we changing it to Thursday? May 10th is a Thursday.
Is it? I didn't mean to do that.
Wednesday's the 9th.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Thank you for pointing that out, John. Okay, yes. So our next meeting will be May 9th at 4 p.m. here in the council chamber. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.